Boom!
Boom!
We're live. Welcome to Com Nation. We're glad you're here.
Yes, we are. Thanks for coming. Or coming back if you've been here before.
Exactly. So tonight, obviously, we're doing trivia.
Yes. Once again, in conjunction with those fine folks at
Baltimore Comic-Con. If you win tonight, the grand prize winner will get 2 free passes to the Baltimore Comic-Con. And when you're at the Baltimore Comic-Con,
you can come by and see us live.
You can come by and see us live. And you can potentially meet Jim Starlin. So
there's nothing really green in your green room. That's my first complaint.
It's a state of being.
You know. There you go. But yeah, tonight we're talking about Dreadstar versus the Inevitable. Have you heard of this book?
I'm hoping Jim has.
Yeah, but I heard about it a lot for the last 2 years, practically. Unfortunately, it's a little rare out there right at the moment. Other than that, it's digitally available, but the comic book is not back from the printer yet.
That's so common. It's sad because since fewer comics are being printed, it just takes longer to get them printed. But tonight we're playing trivia with Jim Starlin. He knows all the answers. We're going to be talking about Dreadstar, the Inevitable, and Dreadstar in general. If you want to play live, and you have to play live to win the tickets, go to crowd.live and type in the code or scan it. And hey, while you're at the computer, if you want to like, subscribe, tweet, thumbs up, heart,
ping, ring the bell,
ping,
send us an email,
do a dance, you go. Whatever makes
song requests that we'll never sing.
Because, we don't sing.
We don't sing. Not on this show, anyway.
Okay? You don't want us to sing. So, okay. And, of course, if you're familiar with us at all, you know that we frequently have tech issues. And we're having one at the moment to get the game started.
This is where the green comes in.
Yeah, that's it. And by the way, we're going to take this moment to say, in addition to doing our show, Jim Starlin is the nicest guy on earth and is actually doing a show with us live at the Baltimore Comic-Con.
Yes.
And it's all about this.
That makes me the nicest person on earth? Wow. That's a really low bar.
You're suffering through us, not only on this show, but also live and in person.
So you're putting up with us twice.
There you go.
I'm giving myself a halo so I don't blind everybody with the light behind me.
Well, that's suitable for the content tonight, right?
Yes, I look very like a Nimbus character here. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. Let's get started.
3, 2, 1. Ta-da!
Okay. Oh, it shows up on the screen and everything. This is really a high-class show, isn't it?
So when was Dreadstar first published?
No, I'm not supposed to answer these, right?
You're supposed to answer them.
I'm supposed to answer them.
Well, assuming you know them. The audience has had a chance to answer on their interactive setup. And again, to play along, go to crowd.live/SL7W9 and you'll be able to plug the info in. Or you can just hang out and Mr. Starlin will tell you when was Dreadstar first published.
Okay, well, of all the questions you've asked, this is the one that I'm most nebulous about. Dates and I don't really get along too well, but seeing that I know what I was doing all this century, I'd have to say it's probably one of the first 2, and chances are it's probably A.
That's correct.
You are correct.
Okay,
So-
wow. That would have been embarrassing otherwise, wouldn't it?
Hey, we all have problems with dates sometimes. So anyway, so it's 1982, and but in 1982, you had been a comic book professional for like
Wow.
10 years, more or
A
less.
decade about, yes.
And you'd worked on Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain Marvel, Shang-Chi, Warlock, others, but then you decide you want to do completely your own thing. What's your motivation?
Siegel and Schuster, Reed Crandall, working as a night watchman over in Brooklyn in his later years. Working for the major companies has always proven to be a financial disaster on the creators for the most part. So I thought I'd try and get something that might be mine.
Okay.
And as it worked out pretty good in the long run. Though when I first started off on it, due to the Dreadstar graphic novel for Marvel, I cut a deal with Jim Shooter to do the Death of Captain Marvel first, and then the third one would be Dreadstar, which would have been my own character, something that Marvel didn't own was unprecedented at the time. So to celebrate that, I immediately went off and dislocated several of my fingers playing volleyball. And so
that's only logical.
Yeah,
Sure.
the Death of Captain Marvel and the beginning of the Dreadstar thing were all done with my hands all taped up. And in the morning, I would tape a pen into my hand, work until lunch, and then get out and try and shake it out at the end of the day.
Still looks great.
That's a solid commitment, man. Solid
Yes.
commitment.
Yeah.
Well,
All
I just
right.
bought a house, so I didn't have any choice in the matter.
There you go. Needs must. All right. Now, Dreadstar centers on the main character of Dreadstar, but what's his first name?
I don't see Vance there. Vance.
Yeah,
That's what Fred
what
Hembeck used to call him that all the time.
but really, it's not Vader Dreadstar, because that'd be awesome.
And Valen Dreadstar sounds too 1920 silent movie-ish. Van
Okay.
sounds like he's a mover, so I'm probably going to go with D, Vanth, which Vanth is basically a Greek god of death.
Oh, okay.
So I figured to throw a little bit of origin into his name there.
That's good.
Suitable.
So,
Okay.
and originally, it was published by Marvel's imprint Epic, right?
Yeah.
And after Epic, it was printed by First Comics.
First Comics, another incarnation at Malibu, some reprints at Slave Labor, Ominous for one, The Return of Dreadstar, and then that imploded, and now we're doing it through Monkey Wrench Press.
Yep. And now, Todd,
Yes.
for no additional points, do you remember the title of the first Dreadstar story?
Well, it was part of what they called the Metamorphosis Odyssey and the price, specifically. Which I vaguely remember from the title of the book. Yeah.
So, I think that's right. Is that right?
Oh, yes. Yeah. It was the Metamorphosis Odyssey. The actual first story was entitled Angadon, but that's the chapter rather than the whole story.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Now, Dreadstar.
You had me stumped there for a moment.
Dreadstar is the sole survivor of an entire galaxy. And what is the name of the galaxy?
Okay. Do we give them like 30 seconds?
Sure, go for it.
They just, but I imagine most of the people, that's a nice little drawing of Eddie got up on the screen there. I don't remember which issue that's from, but let's see. The Whisper Galaxy, well, that doesn't sound. Toblerone, oh, I would have liked to have visited there.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to say it's not A, but it's B again. Ta-da.
The Milky Way.
So, in the Metamorphosis Odyssey, the first story, Vanth was part of the story, but he wasn't the main character. Anknaton was. How'd I do with the pronunciation?
You did pretty good.
And Dreadstar kind of accidentally, but on purpose, but, you know, well, he kind of destroyed the entire Milky Way. Maybe he was hungry.
He aided and abetted in this destruction. He wasn't the actual one who pulled the trigger. He's got blood on his hands, but not as much as Ankadon had.
So,
Of course, it any butchered Ankadon, so he had plenty of blood by the time he wandered into the Catman's village.
There you go.
As you do.
As you do.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I sort of noticed is your book's, you know, your book is good and the storyline is tight, but it's a little bit, you know, it's a book for a mature reader. It's, you know, it's a little bit violent, and you need to be able to accept that.
I wasn't doing Spidey super stories, no.
You were not, which is, again, you know, part of the reason to do your own thing is to tell your own story, right?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And I've never wanted to get really bloody, overly graphic or sexually graphic. So, you know, I find my stories work better. I did just recently on the third graphic novel, decided I was going to go a little bit more sexually explicit. And I actually drew a sex scene in there, which I finally decided, no, that doesn't really work. And so I changed the scene to a stall in a restroom, which made it even more sleazy, and I think it worked much better.
Okay. So when he's not in the
I hope
restroom,
there's not a lot of kids on this show tonight.
I do. Yeah, I do mark my kids. My show is not being kids, but there you go. Now, Dreadstar, when he's not in the restroom, he wields the sword of.
Eternia? No, sorry.
Really?
The Sword of Night sounds pretty cool. The Sword of Flame. The Sword of Ruin sounds like it's kind of counterproductive. You know, it's like you're fighting for something that's broken. So I'm going to go with C, the Sword of Power.
I love how you're going through this as if you don't actually know the answer. But
sometimes I'm babbling on until I remember what it is.
by the way, the Sword of Ruin, that's from Pokemon.
Of course.
And I'm not, of course. Now, Anknaton. So Anknaton, the first main character of the first sort of story, he created the sword of power. Yes. And then he left it, you were saying he left it in a stone?
Yeah, a little Excalibur ripoff there.
And Todd, for no additional points, what's the name of the planet, which I believe is Vamp's home planet, that Anknaton left the sword in?
I believe we say right, it's called Bifrexa.
Oh, I was right. That's what I was thinking myself. I wasn't at all sure.
Hey, you know what?
It's been a few years.
If you get the name wrong, you can change it. You can power.
I've gotten the name wrong in the story. This last book we did, I had Sergei Z10, his name wrong throughout the book. We had to pull it back from the printer just to correct that.
So the sword, it's not just like a weapon. It's helped to save his life, not just because, you know, he can fight with it. It's a life force. It has a life force. It has a power. It has the ability to absorb power and then redirect the power.
It's a female life force too.
Well, there you go. And it apparently it gives Vance all these abilities. It makes him tougher. It makes him stronger, and he can understand what people are saying.
Yes, and he heals quick because of it. The latest story has a fractured skull for a little bit.
That much.
Come in handy.
Yeah, he says it hurt too also, yeah.
A little bit, you know. I just, you know, does it help him get in touch with his feminine side?
When I would say yes, because she's constantly redirecting him. He complains about it a lot. Typical male.
the sword nags him. Okay. It's like, hey, did you clean up the garage yet? Okay. So
Yeah.
Here's your latest honey to-do list. Yes.
That's the true power of the sword right there.
there you go. Now, traditionally, Dreadstar has been helped by the sorcerer. Do you remember? You remember his name?
Mix Malix. I never was quite sure how to pronounce the Superman Malix. I always
Okay.
said that was as close as I could get.
Mitzaplitzik.
Is that how you say it?
This is the way I say it. It could be wrong.
Someone
Okay,
I read
Cthulhu. Cthulhu was done before, so I know I didn't do that one. Joe doesn't sound like an outer space name. So, and Syzygy is the alignment of the planets, which I kind of like. So I'm going to go with D, Syzygy Darklock.
Okay. Hey, Todd, for no additional points,
Mm-hmm.
Joe is an actual character. Do you know? Do you remember? Should I tell you?
Tell me now, because I've forgotten already. I did know.
Little Abner, Al Cap.
That's right.
Oh,
runs
could you
around
pronounce that last name again?
I believe that's the pronunciation. That's what I'm going with. I think he's Welsh. They don't believe in vowels.
No, not often.
So, but yeah, he's always has bad luck, runs around with a big cloud over his head.
Oh, I remember him. Yes.
Yes.
Him and the Smooths.
Yes. You got to have a schmoo.
Exactly.
They're
Now,
so
Syzygy,
tasty. Yeah.
They're good for everything.
tastes like chicken. Syzygy, he died, right?
A couple of times, actually, yes.
Even though
It just didn't
he's
stick very well the first time. And actually, it doesn't stick very well the second time either.
third time's a charm. But yeah, no, he keeps, it's like, hey, he's dead, but he's showing up to help out. You know, that's team spirit.
Yeah.
But that's
And
just being redundant, one of the two. He never leaves the party. He's always the last one. Yes. And he doesn't help clean up, you know.
Well, he is a priest, sorcerer, cyborg, you know, so he's busy.
He was really one of the most unlikable characters ever wrote. Yes.
But he's helpful, and he,
Keeps coming back. So
there you go. Now, in Dreadstar versus the Inevitable, it starts on the planet.
Ultrix.
No, but
Okay, yes, okay. It ends on the planet Ultrix. I see the names now, yes. And I know I would never use anything up to 52. That's much too high a number. The third one, C, sounds Russian. So, and I
take
don't
your
even
time.
know how,
Don't need
if
to be
I,
Russian.
yeah, Ubri 12 is not right. And see if I can remember how, I know I had a pronunciation, Euthia 3. I think that would be, oh yes, of course, it was supposed to be the youth market, all those young people. I knew there was a reason for that, yes.
Yeah, it's like, and one of the things you were saying is, you know, that the attitude of the people of Euthia, you wrote in the book, was just to like live in the moment and get the most out of every moment, and strive to enjoy every experience and every moment of life to the fullest before the ineluctable, before the end, which is kind of handy because
Well, it kind of reminded me of pop culture and all this, live in the moment and be what you
YOLO.
are. And then real life comes along and that's it,
Now, another member of Dreadstar's crew is Sergei 448.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Sergei 20. You said this was one of the ones?
This is the one that had the typo on it. Is actually Sergei Z10.
Okay. But in this book,
this
he's
was a
Sergei
mistake I
for-
made in the script, and it's a long story. It's actually Sergei Z10.
Okay, because in the book it's Sergei 448.
Yeah, you
Sergei.
got the digital proof copy that had all the typos in it still.
Yay!
You get a collector's item there.
Okay, so that's why when there was Sergei 448 and Sergei Zio, that wasn't Zio, it was Z10.
It was Z10, yes. And I think he shows up at 327 somewhere in that story also. I just kept writing numbers down because I didn't remember what it was, and I didn't have the reference book handy, so, and I never got around to fixing it. And they caught it in the lettering.
Or almost. But what is he?
Oh, I guess we've putted around enough where I can say right off the bat that he's a scientist.
Exactly. And he's a very good scientist. He's the top scientific advisor to the rebellion.
Was the rebellion. He worked for the instrumentality. He worked for Lord Papal at one point. He's always been a bit of a hired gun, even though he has a good nature at heart.
Yeah. Now, Sergei, he identifies the threat known as...
Okay, The Untouchables. Good TV show back in the 60s.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
Obscure, I like that. The Anonymous, I almost went with Anonymous to begin with, but...
The Anonymous is actually a hacker activist group, so people, it's not
That's
anonymous.
why I didn't go with it.
You don't want
my
to
best guess is B, The Nameless.
The Nameless. Yeah, you don't want to anger a activist hacker group. That would be bad.
No, I do too much work on the computer.
Exactly. Now, the Endless, he's not a lot of fun.
No.
I believe he's an unstoppable genocidal cosmic menace.
He thinks that everyone should be dead but him. Yes, because I did this story during the pandemic, and so I wanted the characters to have to face something that was inevitable, like we were all doing, having to deal with. And so we were all dealing with fear also, and basically I decided that should be his motivation, and he became, it gets more complicated as the story goes on. He's going to appear in some of the follow-up books and that too. It goes through a lot of changes as he goes through here. But basically I wanted a character who was all-powerful, who was operating on fear. He's afraid of everybody, and so they must die.
Works. Hey, Todd, for
Yeah.
no additional points, how did the Dreadstar crew first find out about the Nameless?
I get a warning from Doc Delphi.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
You should read this book sometimes. It's really good. I liked it.
I've got to go back and do that sometime this week here.
Good fodder for the plane ride, right?
Now, Sergei, Z10448, he believes that the Endless, the Nameless, is going to target whom?
The Black Moon Clan. I like that name. The Federation Council is too Star Trek-y. Humanex Commonwealth. That sounds too Canadian. I'm going to go with the Willow Consortium.
The Black Moon Clan is from Sailor Moon.
Oh, okay.
So,
You're sure you're throwing in all these things that I have no idea what they are.
really? You're not a Sailor Moon fan?
I'm afraid I sort of lost track of things back in the 90s somewhere. Got too old and started reading books, and that ruined my whole comic book reading skills.
Well, as we like to say here at Com Nation,
The geek runs deep.
runs deep. It runs deep. We know a lot of sad things.
Yes.
And yes, but it's the Willow Consortium. So the Willow Consortium, well, after Dreadstar and the crew overthrew the Empire, as you do, and they did that a while back, the Willow Consortium stepped up and took over. And I guess the Willow Consortium is now running a couple 100 planets.
Somewhere in that area. I forget the exact number I gave them. And he keeps adding in because Dreadstar was always good at overthrowing things, was never very good at building. He was an anarchist without a second act. So basically, he's bringing in new planets. He finds planets that are being run by horrible despots and overthrows them, invites them to come into the consortium, which is a much fairer governmental system, even though it's got some bugs it's still got to work out.
You know, it's good to have skills.
Sure.
Now, the Willow Consortium is run by...
Okay, well, I hate to tell you this, but there's no right answer on this one anymore because I've changed it. But
Well, traditionally,
on the books that you have started with, the top two sound like airlines, like airplanes.
what in the
177A,
616 are you
22.
talking about?
Which one?
I said, what in the 616 are you talking about?
Oh,
Just the
yeah. I bet that's another pop culture reference I'm missing, right?
Yeah, Earth 616.
Let's go for 327 because that was the cubic inch number of my favorite car when I was a teenager, a Chevy.
Nice.
There you go. Didn't she used to have... What?
I was say 177A, isn't that the street address for Doctor Strange's address in Bleecker Street, right?
And everybody knows 221B.
Yeah, that's
Baker
cool.
Street, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And 616 was because it's Earth 616. You heard of that. You know you have.
I have?
Ties back in with that Marvel thing from way back.
You've heard of Marvel Comics, right? I think they're going to do well.
Oh, and that's not what I'm hearing, but that's another story.
Come to Baltimore, y'all, and Jim will tell you all his stories.
Yes.
So Willow's really busy because she's both an AI and she's busy, but you know,
And she's
women,
back in the flesh now, too.
so to speak.
Much more fun to draw that way.
There you go. Now, the capital of the Willow Consortium is...
Oh, I sort of gave this one away earlier, didn't I?
But that's
If they were
okay.
paid attention.
Azzy Balder. That's kind of a shot at me, isn't it? Okay. Yeah, Ansel City. I like that one. I'm going to go with A, Alterix.
Yes, you are correct.
All
Now,
right.
Azibalda is a fictional town. My brain is not working, but it is not a comment about your being bald. It's
Okay.
I
I
think
will
it's-
not go and off myself after the show then, after all. That was my
Aw.
plan now. I was so humiliated.
How could you go to Baltimore if you went and off yourself? Oh, C.S. Lewis, Chronicles.
I had the same hairstyle as Syzygy. I could keep coming back from the dead as long as
There
I
you go.
want. Yeah. This is my third incarnation, by the way.
As you
Don't get too close. I do stink.
America loves the second act and the third. Azibalda, Not About You is from Chronicles of Narnia. Ansel City is from Ursula K. Le Guin's Voices. And let's see, the other one is from something else. Discworld. Terry Pratchett's Discworld. And yours, Altruis City, which is in the province of Altruis, which is in the country of Altruis. And I think the actual headquarters is on Altruis Avenue. So, easy to remember. Maybe, maybe not.
Just lazy on names. What can I tell you?
There's a Balda here in Colorado, though.
There you go. So,
Just for fun.
who is too big for the Omega Mini?
I say it's that little robot right there that's sort of hanging
He's
around
not
Sergei's
big.
crotch. Okay. Excuse me. Well, number 2 sounds like, well, it's not a kid show. Shit. So 02 doesn't sound like amounts to much. 2 cups, I guess it would be interesting if we know what kind of cups they are. But I'd say B because his lift capacity is much better, much higher than his name would indicate. So we'll go with 2 ton.
You are correct. 2 ton. Now, 2 ton is adorable. I
He
think.
always likes to fall down.
You keep saying that.
Oh, I've treated him even worse in the issue I'm working on. He gets stepped on in this issue by somebody
Yeah,
even
but-
bigger than he is.
2 ton's pretty big, so if somebody steps on him, wouldn't they be? It's like stepping on a Lego. Wouldn't they be the one saying, "Ow"?
Well, it's a new and improved Nameless who steps on him. And I'll say no more than that.
Okay.
And it's a good laugh, I think. No.
You laughed, you cried, it became a part of
Well,
it.
when you're dealing with genocide stories, you have to have a few jokes in there.
Just to keep it moving.
So 2 ton sometimes works with
Oh, somebody special, obviously. Didn't work too hard on these names on this one, did we?
no.
Badge unit, appraisal unit. Oh, they go around the houses. I like that. The evaluation. They're the HR. You're fired. You're fired. The badge unit is like, okay. I'm going to go
Special
with
badge unit, that's the Scout
D
Masters.
Special Forces. I'm hoping this is right. I'm taking a shot on this one.
Yeah, no. 2 ton decides he's going to give it all up to be a realtor.
Yeah, he'd be very good, except for getting through those doors. A lot of house damage before just showing the place off.
But 2 ton doesn't consistently stay employed with Special Forces unit because I guess he screws up his paperwork on a regular basis.
And he gets fired, and they have him working down at the warehouse. No. He also is supposed to be able to track anybody anywhere in the universe. That was something Peter David put in that I'm just starting to play with now.
So next he could be probably a realtor. And
Sure.
on Special Forces, he works with the super soldier.
Well, that's the Lord Papal in the picture.
It
How do you pronounce that first one? Kataro? Kataro?
Katara.
Okay. I bet that's Feng is Fing Fang Foom's second cousin, maybe. And Shere Khan is from Star Trek, so I'm going to go with
No,
C.
Shere Khan is from Shere Khan is from Rudyard Kipling.
Jungle Books.
Oh, that's right. It's the.
These are all
it's-
cats.
Yes. Who's the one from Star Trek? Ricardo Montalban.
That's Sunin Khan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he's a little catty, but he's not an actual feline.
Yeah. And I feel terrible about not remembering Shere Khan, though. Read that way back when.
I know.
Hmm.
It's and saw
The-
the movie.
Great, like
The memories are going right out the ears, even as I talk, yes.
So your character is
Oh, I'd say Eddie. Yeah, Eddie would be the
It's Eddie.
works with the yes.
Eddie, who's this mutant cat creature, super soldier, you know.
Yes, Eddie Puss basically is his full name.
Get along well with his dad, does he?
Not very well, no. There's some mom issues there. We won't get into that. This is not a kid show.
it's all Greek to me.
Yeah.
But,
All right. And yeah, that was a picture of Lord Papal, who is in charge, or at least was in charge of what?
Oh, I thought it was a Dunkin' Donuts. All right. Let's
Church of
see.
the Dunkin' Donuts. That would
Church
be.
of the Dunkin', All Worlds, Church of Subgenius. That's for the Subgenius. Doesn't sound very good, but then, I guess you would get a lot of people coming in there, easily hooked into your spiel. The Church of Science sounds like a contradiction in terms, so I'm going to go with Instrumentality B.
You are correct.
Which I
And
was accused of stealing that name from an Asimov story, which I had never read, which I read afterwards, which are pretty good, as I recall.
I think he's got a future in this science fiction thing.
So did he.
So tonight we've been talking about Dreadstar versus the Inevitable. As we mentioned way back, the first Dreadstar came out or the first story in the Dreadstar universe came out in 1982-ish. And
Sweeping
prior
saga.
to prior to this Dreadstar, there was Dreadstar Returns. And I have heard you've got 4 more coming out because you're talking.
I'm doing 5 books altogether. Dreadstar versus Dreadstar is the third one, which we bring back Kala, his daughter. Something happens between that book and the fourth book. So the fourth book's called Where's Dreadstar, where I did a Where's Waldo cover for it.
Cool.
It's really fun.
It's immediately where my head went.
And I haven't got a name for the last one yet. I know what it is about, but it's the 5 books are all leading up to the last one there. So it's actually one big 500-page story.
Nice.
Yeah.
And these are all plotted and drawn, or you plotted and you're working on drawing them?
I'm plotted, penciled the entire third book already. Jamie Jameson, my collaborator, has inked about 20 pages, and I've colored about 20 pages as she turns them in. I'm 40 pages into Where's Dreadstar, and I'm still changing my mind about where the 5th book is going to go. It's about omnipotence, so. Actually, I've done the covers for it already, and I just trying to work a story that works around that cover.
As you do.
Old DC method.
There you go. Now, hey, special thanks to you,
Jim Starlin,
for coming and being part of
Trim
the
my
show.
beard in that shot.
There you go. I stole
I have
it.
to do that before Baltimore. Is getting a little long, isn't it? Yeah.
And hey, you're coming to Baltimore, September, which the Baltimore Comic-Con is September 8th through 10th.
I leave the
And
day after tomorrow.
there you
right around the
go.
corner, folks. Yep.
And Todd, I always ask you this.
Yes.
What's the programming? If you go to Baltimore Comic-Con, and you should, what
You should.
programming will Mr. Starlin be participating in?
Well, the main one he's drafted into, obviously, is the trivia challenge on Sunday.
Infinity Gauntlet. Have you heard of it? It's going to be big.
I've been drafted.
Yeah, it's this little indie book that he did a while back that seemed to kind of picked up a cult audience. I think maybe inspired half a dozen major blockbuster films.
Unfortunately, nobody in Hollywood knew what a gauntlet was.
That's one of my questions. So if you know what a gauntlet is, you're already,
1 down, 15 to go.
Exactly.
All right.
I'm going to get the answers to those beforehand, right?
Yes.
It's been a long time since I've looked at that book, even.
Well, the good thing is,
Absolutely.
you're not actually competing. You're just going along for the fun. So,
Yeah.
So,
It's really bad if I get up there and I can't even come up with a clue as to what it's about. And there are certain things on that book I'm sure I don't remember.
Yeah.
I'll mix it up with the movie. Where's the scene with the psychology class get together with Captain America? I don't see that in the book anywhere. Yeah.
It is. It's like the book is different, but you can see where the movie got some inspiration. But hey, we're not talking about Infinity Gauntlet yet. We're talking about you. We're talking about Baltimore. And Todd, I think there was a first comics panel that Jim might be participating in. And
am I? Okay, this is the first I'm hearing about this. Okay, cool.
I think you've been drafted. If you're not, we'll make sure you get drafted because we're doing a big thing about all the different people who are part of First Comics because that's all.
I usually only find out about these things as I arrive at the show. In fact,
as
two
someone
shows
shows
back,
up at your
I
table
arrived
and says,
15
"Hey, you're
minutes
left."
after the thing started.
We'll make sure they're there before it starts. Get you upstairs in time.
There you go.
Yeah.
And we talked about this in the beginning of the show. Jim, you introduced. Did you create Thanos?
Yes, he was my first character.
And who else? You worked. You created Gamora.
Gamora, Drax, Shang-Chi, I created with Steve Englehart. Pip the Troll, Eros. Who else has shown up there? The Infinity Gauntlet. I think that may be it. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and
apologizing to fictitious characters. What's wrong with me? Yes, all right.
They have feelings too. But you won awards, and you wrote the Death of Captain Marvel. You talked about that. You wrote Superboy. You wrote Legion of Superheroes.
Sort of. I drew and plotted that. Yeah, I didn't really actually do much Superboy.
Okay.
Any Superboy, now that I think about it.
And you were part of the controversial Death in the Family storyline for Batman.
Yeah, I sort of instigated that, sort of in some ways.
You just caused trouble.
I never thought that going off and fighting crime in a black and gray outfit and bringing along a teenager in primary colors was exactly the most parent-wise thing to do. Actually goes into child endangerment.
Take your kids to work day.
Sure.
Yeah. Shoot the kid. Shoot the kid. Might as well have tattooed that on his forehead.
And I was just gonna like Daredevil, Black Widow, Punisher. You did some New Gods.
Yeah, I killed them off. Killed off a few of them.
You like to kill people.
Norman Mailer said that all true stories end in death, so I took him to heart.
And in addition to the Baltimore Comic-Con, I think you have both an Instagram and a Facebook page.
I do.
So if people want to know more about you, they can go here. Or
not that much. I don't really do that much on it, to tell you the truth.
So you have to go to Baltimore.
Yeah, I set out what shows I'm going to, and if there's a new book coming out, I put it on there. But the rest of it is I keep under wraps what goes on in my life.
Okay. And are you doing any more cons this year, or is Baltimore your last con of the 2023?
No, I have Salt Lake City a couple weeks after that, out in Utah. I'll have to get all my drinking done in Baltimore. Seems like I'm going to some place in Detroit, Novi, Michigan.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure when that is. There's some shows. Got an agent who does this, and he lets me know, and occasionally I have to put it on the phone and I check it out. But I check it out at the beginning of the month to see where I'm going.
So that's good.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's drawing and kayaking. Yeah.
Congratulations to the folks. The grand prize winner is going to get a free ticket, 2 free tickets actually, to the Baltimore Comic-Con. And I'm going to see if I can't talk Jim into giving the runners-up maybe a free
poster
signature. Okay, I was just going to ask you to sign something, but like if you're willing to give a free poster, awesome.
Sure.
Come to Baltimore and mention us.
Yeah.
And
get a free poster.
And get a free poster.
Only to the winner, though.
Yeah, or the runners up, because
Oh, there's runners up also. Okay.
Yeah.
Just stop at 2 posters.
Okay.
or one poster. Okay, that's it. That's our show. Thank you.
Aren't we going to find out who the winner is?
I let them know on the game.
Oh,
And I'll
okay.
email them
So
later.
and anybody in Baltimore could come up to me and claim they're the winner.
Okay. It's Michael.
This is unfair.
Okay.
It's Michael.
Michael Neosi.
Okay.
We'll get you a card with that, just to verify that.
Now everybody's going to come over and claim to be Michael Neosi. I'm going to have to look at everybody's license. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna.
I knew I was going to regret coming on this show.
But you're still doing Infinity Gauntlet live at the Baltimore Comic-Con, right?
Well, you've seen that you have my cat as a hostage. I guess I'm going to have to.
Your cat Oedipus.
Yes.
Okay. Hey.
Could
Thank
just call
you.
him Rex for short, but you know.
Thanks.
Come on, hold it together. You're almost at the end of the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you have, please, and again, I say, thanks.
Thanks.
Questions,
You're
comments,
welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
questions, comments, complaints, compliments. Please send us an email. Let us know how we can be better. I'm sure there's lots and lots of ways we can be better. Let us know additional things we should torment Mr. Starlin about.
Mike, I'm going to want to see some ID.
And above all,
read more comics, kids.
we'll see you at Baltimore.
Yes. Coming up around the corner.